Hey, what's up, LYV family? I am your host, Cara-Mel, and welcome. We have an amazing show today. We have the one, the only Roosevelt FLO Sargent in the building. He is such a beautiful soul and a beautiful spirit just in general. And we're going to check out his testimony. He has such a powerful testimony. I want to say, as always, love you all. Thank you so much for continuing to support LYV. Let's get it. Yo, I'm feeling this vibe right here. Drop the beat. Yo, I like my Converse high and my jeans dope. Empowerment of the people. My music brings them hope. Blessed with each breath I take. I choose to use my voice. Yeah, I choose to use my voice. Years ago, I thought I was done with music. That was no longer, so to speak, in my cards. But then life happened. And just like many, I dealt with the struggles of this life. So in 2015, I started putting that pen to that pad. And my music became my therapy. That outlet needed to voice the frustrations on my conscience. So now, I invite you to come along and join me on this musical journey. Because this time, I'm not throwing in the towel. I know my purpose and I won't stop until I play my part in bringing unity in our communities and shedding light on a world with so much division right now. And you ask who I am? Well, you'll know. I am Cara-Mel.
More than 2.7 million kids have a parent behind bars. Studies show parental incarceration may even put them at a higher risk of one day going to prison themselves. And the use of illicit drugs amongst kids is costing the U.S. more than $700 billion a year. Cities like Compton, California, like many others, gangs in America on the rise across the country with no signs that they'll let up. This is one of many untold stories.
Rose, you gotta stand up for yourself. If you continue to let these fools disrespect you, then that's all you're ever gonna get, is disrespect.
I'm trying.
Show me what you got.
Roosevelt Sargent's struggle would become indefinite, but with others defending their respect, he would continue to struggle to triumph. But with Roosevelt's triumph would only be the beginning of his trials.
They hit you, you hit them back. I didn't raise no punk. If they fight you, you fight back, or you're gonna have to deal with me. Now come on.
With unshared building his courage, Roosevelt would soon overcome defeat. Most of his young years, Roosevelt would be bullied, looked down upon, a child that just wanted to have the all-American dream and upbringing. But instead, he had to fight in order to conquer a piece of that dream. Once a child and now a man. With his parents' incarceration, homelessness, now a teenage parent, the thug lifestyle that surrounded him daily would create a beast that couldn't be tamed and now wanted for murder. Where would his life lead? Victorious Underdog, a true story of resilience and survival.
I'm Roosevelt Sargent, and this is my story, Victorious Underdog.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to LYV. I am your host, Cara-Mel, and we have an amazing show for you all today. We have the one, the only Christian hip-hop pioneer and so much more, Roosevelt FLO Sargent. What's going on, King?
Yeah. What's happening? How you doing, sis?
I'm doing amazing. I can't complain, I'm just enjoying today. It's a little storming over here. I think you said it's storming on that side too.
Yep. We got this summer storm going on down here in Nashville too.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get it popping. I want to say first and foremost, thank you so much because I know you are a busy man. So thank you for this time that you're going to share with us and the LYV family. So first and foremost, tell the people, where are you from? Originally.
I'm originally from California. I'm a California boy. I'm out here West Coasting down here. I'm from LA. I'm from Stockton. I was born in Stockton, California, but I'm a LA boy. But I'm down here in Nashville, man. I love it.
Okay, all right. And so, like, growing up as a kid, how was it like in California for you? Can you like picture that? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was wild, man. Cali is everything you think it is.
Oh, so it's true on those shows that we be seeing these movies and stuff.
California, man. But I've been a few places, so I feel like, you know, it's wild everywhere you go, you know. But yeah, growing up for me, it was, you know, kind of typical growing up in the hood, and moved around a lot. Moved all over the West Coast when I was little. My family life was really unstable. So we was moving around a lot, up to Seattle and Oregon, back and forth. But I was always the new kid on the block. So if you understand what it was like growing up in the 80s, being the new kid on the block, what they do to the new kid is they test them. So I had to learn how to use these in every city I moved to, because everybody wanted to, you know, test the new kid. But I wasn't just a new kid, but I was also the little. I was like a foot shorter than everybody my age, so I was a target, you know. So I had a hard time growing up with that, you know. So it was pretty rough. But yeah, I was involved in all the stuff, the gangs, the drugs. Both of my parents were in prison. I was raised by my grandmother, who was actually my OG, who taught me how to be a gangster. Wow. And all the conundrums, all the many things that goes along with that lifestyle, you know, it's pretty common. And I was engrafted in all of it.
Yeah, and that's one reason I wanted to definitely, for y'all that don't know, me and Flo met in Tennessee back in May, and I just started hearing his story, and I wanted to get him on the show, just one for inspiration and to and motivate others who think they're stuck in their situation, you know. And so let me ask you this, like, did you always like have God in your life? Like growing up as a kid, did you go to church? Because you would say you were raised by your grandma. You know how grandmas are, you know.
My grandma was a gangster. She ain't stepped foot in no church.
Wow. Wow. That's what you
never took me to church. But it's strange though, because that's my grandmother on my mom's side. My great grandfather on also on my mom's side, but my mom's father's father was a preacher, and I knew him, you know what I mean. I seen the church. He built the church with his bare hands, and on the south side of Stockton. And I went to church on Easter like the rest of us. You know, that was it. That was pretty much it. Yeah. And I was pretty bad, man. I wasn't doing the church thing too much, but I did believe. I was a believer. You know, you know people that say they believe, you know, you believe, but I didn't really live the lifestyle.
Yeah, I understand.
But I respected and believed and feared Jesus. You know, so that was pretty much it. But I got saved when I was pretty young. I gave my life to the Lord when I was 19.
So you were 19. So what was that event or that life-changing point in your life or period in your life where you just was like, I need God in my life, point blank, and start practicing it and living it?
I tell you, I always felt it. Like, I always tell the story like I knew there was something in me that was different, but I didn't know what it was. I always knew I was different, but I didn't know that I was called to live for Christ. But I knew I had something in me that wasn't like the rest of the crew. I had a conscience. You know, I was a thug with a conscience. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like to disrespect females. I didn't like to do certain things. And when certain things was going down, I seemed to be the one that would always stop and say, wait, we probably should think about this, because this probably could have some real bad, you know, consequences. You know, I always had this conscience to me, and I didn't even understand it. Yeah. I didn't understand what it was, but I started recognizing it in my later teens. You know, I started just recognizing it. You know, I started being more sensitive to righteousness. I didn't even know what it was, but I wanted to do something better. I wanted to be better. I wanted to get off the streets. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to have a family. Like, I had all these desires. I didn't know where they came from. Yeah, I just felt like it was a supernatural thing. The Lord was dealing with me and ministering to me all the time. And it wasn't really necessarily at the hands of other people. I just had this, I was born with a connection. And I met my daughter's mother, my first wife. When we started, you know, we had a couple of kids when I got saved. And it was her grandparents, her grandmother, who I walked in the house one day and I had just got done smoking a joint. And this was back in the day before blunts was around. We used to smoke joints. And I was loaded and I walked in the house and this old lady who was not afraid of me. And I was, you know, she wasn't scared. She had a Bible in her hand and she said, "Hey, young man, read this." And she opened up the scripture. She had scripture pointed out for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She was ready for you.
She was ready for me. And it was 2 Corinthians, and it was talking about your life is not your own. You know what I mean? You bought with a price, that type of thing. And that word resonated with me. That was the moment. I was changed because, for one, I wasn't high no more. It took my high away, and that blew my mind. I was with some of my homeboys and I didn't tell them how I felt. But when I read that scripture, it jumped out of those pages and it jumped into my heart.
Yeah.
And the first miracle God did for me was in that exact moment, he washed away my high. And I was completely sober from reading the passage.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I thought, man, this ain't just a book, you know?
Yep.
God was letting me know that he was real in that moment. I felt him. I felt his touch. And now I didn't get saved that moment, but I was curious, you know.
But you was on your way to your calling. That's it.
Yeah, on my way. I started going to church a little bit, you know, and I started paying attention a little bit, and a little bit turned into a lot. And I just, you know, by the time I was 19, I was ready and I sold out and I gave my life to the Lord. And now I'm an old man. You see all this gray. I'm like,
oh my goodness. Look.
I'm 48.
Black don't crack.
Yeah. You know, I've been saved longer now than I haven't.
Yeah.
But I like to tell the truth and knock off a few years for bad behavior because I stepped aside and cut up for a few years. Yeah. But yeah.
So we're gonna turn and switch though, because now you're 19, you're like on fire for Christ. So now where the music part comes in, that element, like it's like, hey, you know, rapping and starting that, you know, where the flow come from, where that name come from.
Okay, I got a story where I got my name from.
Okay.
But I didn't I rapped already. I was already a rapper.
Okay.
I've been a rapper and a writer since I was a little boy. I wrote my first book when I was in the 5th grade.
What? Okay.
Yeah. Right. And I love rap, man. Hip hop is my thing, you know. So I was rapping on the streets when I was 12, beatboxing in a circle and rapping and doing the whole I'm a hip hopper, man. So I always had dreams of being a performer. You know, I went to the School of the Arts when I was in middle school.
Nice.
And I was always on stage. I was always modeling and performing and doing African drum and dance and singing in the choir and I've been standing on stages since I was a little boy, you know, and I wanted that. I knew that would be a part of my life. I had no idea it would be in the gospel. Yeah. But I knew I've been groomed for the stage since I was a little boy. And so when I got saved, I had no idea. Yeah. The dream was dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to rap. I knew I could rap.
Yeah.
You know, I knew I could rap, and the people that knew me knew I could rap. But you know, maybe a year or so into it, I realized, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for Jesus, just because I was listening to other rappers, Christian rappers. Back in the day, some you probably may not even know of, like PID, Preachers in Disguise, and DC Talk. Now, okay. you know Toby Mac. Toby Mac is he's one of the most notable gospel singers of our time, but he started as a Christian rapper in this group called DC Talk.
Okay.
And some people didn't like it. I liked it. I was into it. I was into anything that talked about Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
And they were pretty big, you know. So I listened to all those little groups back then, and I was like, I could do this.
You could
do this.
Yeah.
You know. So I started rapping at church.
I think it was called Shine. That's the video that I saw on YouTube. And it was like
Sunshine.
Sunshine, yes. Sunshine. I was like, what? Like, I mean, like, you got skills. That's all. I'm just like, the flow.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just like, you're a very poetic brother. Like, seriously, like the lyrics, you know, I'm a songwriter, so I hear the lyrics and I'm like, whoa. I was like, we might have to get you to come out of retirement. You know, you need to start playing. Come on back on fire for Jesus. But, you know, I know you got other, you know, tasks and other callings right now and stuff, but music will never leave you. I know that. So let me ask you, so what was it like though, like coming out as a Christian? What was like Christian hip hop back then? Like, did the church accept you, or they were like, what is this here? Or like, what was your experience like coming in?
It was, I'm gonna say we were definitely some of the pioneers. We was back there when it was in the beginning. I would say we was the second wave, because the beginning was the dudes I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
But after they caught on fire and the rest of us started getting saved and stuff, we jumped in, you know. So I'd say we got a mixed bag, man. Half the people received it, half the people, I got kicked out of churches, you know. One time we were invited to a church by the youth pastor, who was the son of the senior pastor. So father and son, they was not on one accord, because the son invited us and the father rebuked us, you know, and that type of thing was pretty common for us. Yeah, man, we walked out of the pulpit from singing, and the pastor got right up behind us and rebuked us.
Oh my goodness! They probably like deer in headlights. Like, what is this?
We was like, wait a minute, y'all asked us to come here. What are you talking about?
So let me ask you this. Now, being that we're talking about like Christian hip hop, what is your thoughts on the direction that it's at right now? Like, do you think it's going in the right direction with the artists out like now, or do you think it's going backwards? What are your thoughts on that? Christian hip hop.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really tuned into everything that's happening today.
Okay.
With new artists.
Yeah.
I checked out for a while, you know, just trying to, you know, refocus and reset. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For this new, you know, season of my life. So I really don't know what's going on, but I know a few guys that I love, that I think are dope. I love how it has, you know, transitioned from what it was to what it is. There's so many different styles, and rap period has changed. Hip hop is different. When I first started, when I was a youngster, hip hop first came out, my uncles and them was telling us it wasn't gonna last. It was a fad, it was a fade, like disco, you know what I mean? That's just another thing that's gonna disappear. And to see where hip hop is today, it's multifaceted. So many different nationalities are into our culture, you know what I mean? And that's, to me, is beautiful. I welcome everyone, you know. I'm not one of them types, you know what I mean? Right. I love people, and I love to see what they're doing with hip hop. I love the young people, and I love the differences. Now, I am an old head, so I don't understand a lot of the new stuff.
Oh no, I'm gonna tell you, like, I don't listen to the radio. I tune out a lot of new stuff, but I do try to like listen to see what's popular. If someone says, "Hey, check out this person," but really, I listen to a lot of independent artists. To be honest with you, versus like major artists. There's a handful of people, you know, but. I will say that I feel like Christian hip hop, or hip hop in general, is starting to become more accepting in the church realm. You know, there's a couple that, you know, I will tell you that where I ran into where they're like, oh, it needs to go back to the olden days of hymns and everything, you know. But, you know, I think people are starting to recognize, in order to get, especially the youth, into the churches, you gotta be more open-minded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, man. I'm glad they kicked us out and did all that stuff to us because we kind of paved the way, man. And you know, it's guys doing it now that, like you said, they're being accepted, and you know what? They should be. It's a lot of talent out there, man, and I love it.
All right, so let's fast forward now. After the music, before we actually leave the music portion, now you do have like a record label, correct? Can you tell the people about that, or is that something where because of with Christian hip hop, is that why, because it was like not known, that you created the label? A little bit more information about that, because that was one thing.
I created the label because that's just the way my mind works. I'm an entrepreneur, you know what I mean, and I'm an owner, you know. I don't want to diss nobody, but there's workers and there's owners. I'm an owner, you know. So when I was growing up, I always, even when I was selling dope, I was always trying to figure out where was the guys that was the most important, where are the guys that were making the most money. That's how it started for me, you know. So it kind of got me started on entrepreneurship really, really young. Yeah. But I'm not about making the most money. When it comes to being an owner, my mindset is just owning my stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. I learned the business pretty early. Being in LA and being in the music business, it's pretty cutthroat. It's a rough place, and people don't share information. They don't teach you nothing. Nothing comes free. You got to figure it out. So as I was hustling through the game and figuring it all out, now, before we got our first record deal, we were just hustling as independent artists. And I was kind of took the role as the manager of our group. So I was booking us, we was touring, we was doing everything. We was on the radio, we was doing interviews, and that's because I was hustling. Yeah. And God was opening doors, not to, you know, glory to God, but God was opening doors, we was hustling. And when we got a record deal, I thought, now we got a record deal. Yeah. So now we're going to go from here to here. So I stopped hustling. I thought the record label was going to take over, but it didn't happen. They didn't take over. Our music was in stores all over the country, but they didn't book us on no shows. They didn't do no promo. They didn't do, and because I thought they were going to do it all, I sat still and allowed us to kind of decline a little bit. And once I realized, I was like, man, this is not, it's not better being on this label. And I'm talking back in the day when everybody wanted a deal. Yeah. When nowadays, you don't need a label, but back then you had to have some type of distribution to be in the store. Yeah. There was no streaming, all that other stuff. The label and the distribution was the goal. So we achieved that goal, and our career took a dive. So I took notes, and I was like, I did better for us than this label.
That's right. Yeah, seriously. On your own.
Yeah. So we opted out. We had a deal. I was a signed artist for 1 year. And after that year, I had a talk with the owner of the label, and he let us out. And then I started a label. I got a distribution deal from the same company that distributed his label. And we was on, and I was handling business just the way I was handling it for us before. I started signing other acts, and we was on. And I, because of my own experience, I treated my artists like I wanted to be treated. I put them on tour. I paid for their stuff. We had they had posters and propaganda, and they was doing shows, and they had situations, you know. So that's kind of how it started. Just like I realized that we can do better on our own, and I know that that's not everybody's case, but we were already operating as a label. We had a whole crew that had producers and photographers and studios, and we had everything we needed. We didn't need no label. Yeah. All we needed was distribution, and we got that. So that's how it started.
And tell people, so you said a group, so you started, what was the name of the group then?
Oh, there were several groups. ABG, CL Riders was one of our groups. CL Riders is the first Christian rap group to perform on Soul Train. And that was a group that I had signed and kind of developed a little bit. I don't know if there's a guy right now by the name of Seven who is out, and he is hard. He's my favorite artist today. And we didn't we didn't have, I signed him. I did one record with him, and that was kind of after he was already out. Seven is a beast and a monster. And I gave him only a 1-record deal because I knew he was too big for us. We couldn't contain him, but it was a friendship thing. You know, I gave him a deal, and you know, we did that. But Seven, ABG, there's a female R&B group called CHC. It's a guy by the name of Teach. There's another homeboy named Brown King, was an essay. So we kind of had all different kinds of acts under one label, so that when we toured together, no two groups were the same. Yeah. You know?
That's amazing. I like that story I do. Note to artists and self, learn the music business. Learn the music business, because you got to
learn the music business. And I'm telling you, I don't like to knock people's hustle, but I could tell the truth. Yeah. And if you got some hustle in you, you don't need a record label, not in today's times, because there's too many one-stops where you can go get your music streamed. Nobody buys music. They buy subscriptions. You know what I mean?
Yep, you're right.
If you know how to promote and get online and do your thing, you might not want to be chasing down a record deal.
Well, y'all, that is the show for today. As always, I'd like to say thank you for watching. And I want to say thank you to our special guest, Roosevelt FLO Sargent. Thank you so much. I look forward to definitely following his journey and his testimony and community events. I will definitely be posting those as they come, for those who are in Tennessee or who want to come out and help out wherever he may be throwing some events and opportunities that come to give back to within the communities. All right, y'all know how it goes. So today I want to talk about a little bit about, it's crazy because I feel like the enemy is attacking a lot of marriages in the season. And it's with so much stuff going on, there's a lot of temptation out there, I know, for some people. But I want you to remember Mark 10:9, and that says, "Therefore what God has joined together, let no one separate." I truly believe, when it comes to relationships, you have to have trust. And you have to have trust within those relationships. However, at the end of the day, it takes two. As always, thank you for watching LYV. Until next time.